I'm Dani Iddins, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, and the founder and creator of Taking Back You. The month of May is so special for moms, and this May should be no different. And Mama, you are facing a unique opportunity right now. This is the perfect time to get started on that dream business that you always wanted to start, or to level up the business that you've started but haven't had the time to grow. And that's why I created Mom Business May. Join me for this free 30-day online workshop that takes you step by step and shows you how to start and grow your own business. And even better, throughout the month, I'll be joined by an amazing group of mom bosses whose main goal is to help you make your entrepreneurial dreams your reality. Just think, by this time next month, you could have the beginnings of a great business on your hands. Claim your spot by visiting facebook.com/groups/mombusinessmay2020 or visit DaniCarterIddins.com for more information. Also, be sure to subscribe to this podcast to hear from seasoned mom bosses every week in May. This May is going to be one for the books, and I can't wait to get started. Hello. Welcome to the Taking Back You Momcast. Hi guys, how you doing? It's Dani Iddins, your host this week and every week. And you guys, I know I always say it, but I am so excited about this week's show because I have a guest for you that is just an amazing woman, an amazing artist, and just an amazing person all around. Her name is Amber Fife, and she is the owner and founder of Women Create Weekly. And I want you guys to just really enjoyed this episode because, like every episode where we have guests, we just share some amazing nuggets that go above and beyond what the topic is, which is all about being creative and learning how to put creativity into your normal everyday life as a woman and as a mom. I hope you guys enjoy this episode and that you just are able to learn from Amber and what she has to say. I think she's an amazing woman. And I just really have enjoyed getting to know her during this entire process of getting her on the show, talking to her. We've had 2 conversations and they have lasted longer than you would think when you're meeting somebody for the first time. But she's a wonderful human being and just one of those people where you're like, yeah, this woman is the real thing. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll be back at the end to just share a little bit more information about Amber and about the Taking Back You Momcast. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Coming to you straight from Indianapolis, aka the Circle City, this is the Taking Back You Momcast. The Taking Back You Momcast is a witty, authentic, and sometimes sarcastic podcast for millennial mamas who are in the thick of mom life. And I'm your host, Dani Iddins, wife, millennial mama, motivational speaker, and motherhood advocate. So, hi, Amber. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am great. Thanks so much for being on the show today. So, Amber, you are the owner, founder, and creator of Women Create Weekly, which is a blog and online membership program that offers opportunities for women to tap into their creative and artistic sides and allows for self-discovery. So, how did you get into that?
When you fill out those like attribute forms when you're a little kid, creativity was always like the first thing I described myself as. And I grew up with an autistic mother, and so I was surrounded by awesome art supplies. And for all those home projects that moms hate, my mom would be right there with me saying like, let's do this, and what about this? And so my projects always looked amazing. And it got me, in on the job training to do lots of creative stuff. And so with that as a background, I did math and art in college, found photography to be the marriage of the two, but there was a lot of anxiety that I found with running a photography business. If any of your listeners have tried to do that or do that, there's a lot of comparison and rush and hustle and stuff around that. And I found myself wishing for time to make stuff with my hands, but I just didn't have time. And fast forward 13, 14 years, and well, fast forward like 12 years from when I started photography. Um, we moved for the third time since we'd gotten married, and I decided to take a break from photography and try homeschooling and kind of putting my heart on my kids, and kind of lost my identity because I'd wrapped it around photography for so long, and decided that I wanted to start making things. And so I started doing art more on a regular basis and doodling and just making marks and doing it on a more consistent basis. And I found that my anxiety, which had been crippling through self-care and through this art, meditation, art practice, was becoming manageable. And I thought, I don't know how many women had artistic mothers or roomfuls of professional art supplies, when they were little to play with. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could help more women to find help for their life's challenges through art? Because when you think of art, you think, oh, you have to be perfect, you have to be amazing, and people have to love your work, and you have to sell it. But that's not what an artist necessarily is. And doing creativity in any form is going to carry over into every other aspect of your life, your home life, your professional life, and everything. So that's how, I think the question was, how did I get started?
Yeah.
So finding, like, coming back to my creative roots, and seeing it help myself and wanting to help other people too.
Well, that's really awesome. And you talked, and we talked last week about the importance of, making time to create and, just doing that on a regular basis. And you spoke about how it helps to oil all the other aspects of your life. And I like your use of the word oil. Ha ha ha. And, and how, those aspects of your life can be, work, family, how you view your housework, your relationships. And, I think that's important because you are a wife, you are a mom. Like you said, you're a homeschooling mama on top of everything else. So you're just a little bit busy, I would say. Just a little busy, but I really love how you are taking, this idea of being creative and being artistic, and it's something that you grew up with. But did you find that maybe you'd gotten away from it, I guess, just as you grew up and life changes?
Oh yeah,
like that. And
I did. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just say, in college with my art classes, I was an art major and I was doing math. I didn't declare both until I was a year from being done. And once I was done with college, and I discovered photography, I spent all my time with photography. Mm-hmm. So after years of perfecting that craft and working really hard and improving and streamlining that whole process, I tried to draw. I tried to pick up a pen and paint, and it looked juvenile. It looked like it wasn't what I had in my head. And it was really frustrating to try something that I really wasn't as good at anymore as I was at photography. And so I just kind of put it back away. Didn't mean I wasn't doing anything artistic and creative. I was making cookies and decorating cookies and doing kinds of artsy things, but putting myself out there in a how would you say, it's uncomfortable
mm-hmm.
to try something new that you're not good at yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I've tried to create in my community, is that safe environment that's totally okay to try something new, and it feels curious and exciting instead of discouraging and overwhelming like it might if you're by yourself.
Right. And we discussed last week, I told her, I said, listen, I'm a choreographer, and if you give me dancers, I can build a beautiful picture on stage. If you hand me a paintbrush, though, not so much. So I totally understand that fear. of, worrying about if you're creating an amazing piece of art, but it doesn't always have to be that way. You can be doing something because it fulfills you and it brings you joy and it relaxes you. You know, so in 2018, you created Women Create Weekly.
Hmm.
And you really did that because you wanted to help women kind of find themselves through art. You
Hmm.
talked a little bit in your introduction about what had, happened that kind of led you up to there. You had done, you said 3 moves.
From the time we got married, well, moving to get married into
Mm-hmm.
apartment together, and then moving to my husband's grad school, and then moving here. So
Okay.
I don't know if
And
it counts the first moves, but as a family, moving two times.
okay. And so, yeah, those are, and we have moved, we done a big move from Valparaiso, Indiana to Indianapolis, which was it takes a lot out of you. And you said that it kind of led to you having, some issues with anxiety, which I completely understand. So when you are being creative or when you're, painting or doing your artwork, what physiological changes do you notice about yourself that kind of helped you to realize, hey, this is a good thing and this could be used as self-care for, women who might not have an outlet. I don't know, I always laugh at my show. Self-care is not, spas and candles and, hanging out. So how did you notice this? What physiological changes did you notice about yourself that kind of told you like, hey, this is a really good thing and this could be really helpful for other women?
Yeah, there's a bunch that happens, and sometimes you're not even aware what's happening to your body while you're doing it. The biggest one is your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That as you sit, I mean, as you sit and you're taking the time, even if you're just making like little marks, little doodles, and little swirls around the whole page, and you're just taking that time, your breathing slows and your body starts to relax. A lot of times I hold my tension in my shoulders, and so I'll have that tension in my shoulders, and it isn't until I've been doing it for a little while that I realize my shoulders are down, more relaxed. My breathing is slower. I'm breathing deeper in my belly instead of just up in the chest. Um, Another thing is, I don't know if it's physiological, but your mind begins to clear.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had this, but you go to bed at night and all of a sudden everything's playing through your mind at once of everything that could have gone wrong or will go wrong or things that you have to do the next day, or
Yes.
your mind's just racing. Um, and I find that when I'm setting aside time, and Julia Cameron in the Artist's Way book, she calls them artist dates. And you set yourself a date for an artist date, to have a date with yourself to create art in some way. And as you're doing that, you have this time set aside for you, even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's, a short period of time, that you let yourself just be present, and that clears your mind. And then solutions will come to your mind more easily in that clear slate than if you're trying to cram everything you need to be worried about right now, right there in the middle of your head. So that's another one. Another one would be lose track of time.
Mm.
Um, that the time your time is up, whether that means a kid rushes into the room and demands something of you, or your timer goes off, you have to go make dinner, or whatever it is, that you're doing a good thing when you've enjoyed it enough that time seems to go quickly.
Yes. And I feel like probably right now, a lot of people are spending a lot of time at home, which
Mm-hmm.
might go a little bit faster than it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I have to tell you, for my listeners, I'm going to tell my listeners this. I shared this with my listeners before. I always send a pre-interview questionnaire to the people who are going to be on the show, just so that I can make sure that you guys are getting the right information, and that my guests are able to showcase all of their abilities in the best way. But one of the things that Amber talked about in her pre-interview questionnaire that I thought was just it was kind of like a mind-blowing, maybe come to Jesus moment for me, is you talk about this idea of creating a habit of creativity. And I thought that was, first of all, it's a brilliant, I think you need to write a book on that, because I think that that's a brilliant topic. And on top of that, I just think that it's so cool because, like you said, you're an artist, I'm a dancer, but I love this idea of a habit of creativity where we are getting in the habit of like being creative and of creating new things that don't exist before. And I think that that is something that we lose, in motherhood, because we don't always feel like we have an avenue to do that. So kind of tell me how you got, where that even came from in your brain, this whole idea of a habit of creativity, and how do you use it with your clients and with the women in your life, the females in your life, to kind of help them incorporate this into their creative work?
Um, yeah, I'd thought about teaching art when I began teaching photography a
Hmm.
long time ago. But then I went the teaching photography route, and that you have these paint and palette nights where a bunch of girlfriends get together and they make all variations of the same painting, and they post pictures, and it's so much fun, and the people talk about how much great fun they have, and that is a fantastic thing. And I recently did pouring paint class by myself. A bunch of people were there, but I just went solo because I was like, I want to learn it, and so I enjoyed that experience. But the problem is, if you have one experience like that in like 3 years,
Hmm.
then you haven't had the chance to give your mind that expansion possibility of things. And so, yes, those things are awesome, and totally, I'm not getting down on those. But if you have in a way where it's a personal experience, for one,
Hmm.
where it's your personal investment for your personal benefit and growth, you're not doing it for someone else or for social media posting.
Hmm.
It's a personal development aspect of it, um, and it's the changing the way you approach the world with a sense of possibility and curiosity and problem solving instead of victim and overwhelm and discouragement,
Hmm.
which is kind of what I easily drop to. And so
Hmm.
that's one thing that's helpful for me, is to have this curiosity and the possibility route of, is there a better way I can approach this problem, comes from a sense of creativity. And so
Mm.
when we're doing little ways of enhancing our creativity, those are going to help us in our problem solving to be more optimistic and helpful and workable instead of stuck. So a habit of creativity began 3 years ago. I started just, there's lots of different challenges all the time in art communities about, here's a month's worth of prompts, and you do a little sketch about that prompt. You can do, make up your own prompt, just list items in your house and go draw something with that theme. They're just getting yourself moving in some way gets you started, and anything you do is going to help that progression and that growth. So as we have a habit of creativity, and that looks in so many different facets. For you, that could be spending 30 minutes choreographing in your mind and what that's going to look like and feel like, and as an exercise, not necessarily for a specific project. Or maybe it's giving yourself 10 minutes to get excited about scrolling Pinterest on projects you might want to do. You know, that might overwhelm you, or it might be inspiring. You have to judge and see how that
Hmm.
feels for you. Um, but give yourself these little snippets of what if, and exploring where that can take you. So that might be sketching before you go to bed for 10 minutes at night. It might be going buying some new paints. It might be um, clearing a place in your home that's been cluttered for a long time.
Hmm.
It might be it might be coordinating a group virtual surprise for someone. I mean, you're creating happiness and you're creating community. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical painting to give to someone, but there's lots of different ways that can help foster that um, way of thinking, way of being.
Well, that's yeah, I love that, and I think it's really important, like you emphasize. It could be what your creativity looks like for one person versus another person can be very different. And so not to limit yourself, and it does pique your, curiosity, and it does make you think like, oh, well, what can I do? What are things that I can do that I haven't, even like thought about being able to do? And I really appreciate that. And that's kind of what's always drawn me, even, like I said, by, and Amber, I'm going to be 100%. I still don't know if after this I'm going to be any sort of drawer. It's just not pretty. It's not good. But like just being real, and I'm learning this. And I shared this with Amber last week, but in MOPS, we would have like craft weeks, and I would be the one. I just started asking the crafts coordinator. I was like, if I pay you, will you make mine? Because they would they would come up with these like awesome crafts that you could, in theory, put up in your house, but I would be like, oh, I can't put that in my home. So finally I would have her do that now, and I know that's not the right thought process, but my perfectionist brain, I think, always gets the best of me. And that is something that I have to work through all the time. So this idea of a habit of creativity right now on Facebook, you are doing daily lives on weekdays in your
Mhm.
Facebook group. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so right now I have a paid membership where we have monthly projects with weekly live group Zoom calls, and we've been doing that for almost a year and a half, and it's fantastic community of women. When everything started rolling out about things kind of shutting down,
Mm-hmm.
um, I kind of had it on my heart to serve the community more. I know a lot of moms aren't used to having their kids around all the time, and uh, can go kind of crazy. And so the first week were a bunch of the first 2 weeks were a bunch of kids crafts that you could do together. Um, and then right now I'm having like weekly themes. We did a nature theme last week, and drawing from nature. We painted clouds, and now we've kind of moved into the house. I'm not sure when this is going to air, but um, I love serving people. I love helping people discover that art isn't that hard. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
series of steps. And when you have the breakdown of the steps, you can create beautiful things. And a lot of time, you mentioned perfectionism, and a lot of time we have that perfectionism can be paralyzing, and it
Yes.
stops us from even beginning the process.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kills that curiosity. And so as we learn to show up and fail on purpose, that's when the growth really happens. That's when we say, that looks kind of funky. Why does that look funky? Let me try it again. And you get to do it, again and again. Just like if you're learning a dance move and you weren't able to
Mm-hmm.
get the spin or whatever, somebody could say, well, if you just tuck your left leg in this way or whatever, then you're like, oh, I get it now.
Right.
And that's the same thing with art, that the more you do, the less perfectionism has a hold on you, because you know that this isn't the end result. Even if it's the final product of the thing you're working on, it's not the end.
Right.
And it's still going to keep going. You still learn and grow, and you still have fun. And so it becomes less important about the perfection and the product, and it's more about the process and how that changes you along the process than what it is you're actually creating.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about that with my students. I have a saying that I always say for them when they're trying something new. I always say, try, fail, revise, repeat. And so,
I like it.
and the reason for that is, in the dance world, to get a good pirouette, which is kind of where you turn on one foot, it takes 7 years to get to like master that. And so I start off, and some people say, oh, well, you don't want to be negative. And like, well, yeah, but you want to be realistic. And so I start off with my students and I say, listen, this is going to take a long time. But what part of the journey is learning and revising, figuring out how to move your body, figuring out how to hold your body. And you know that all of those things that you're doing are going to lead to success at a later date. And it also, I think too, helps to feel a certain sense of satisfaction because, I can be, if I'm being honest, things that come easily to me, I don't necessarily appreciate them as much as the things that I had to work for. Um, so I definitely see what you're saying, that whole idea of perfectionism. And it's funny because it's one of those practice what you preach kind of things, because I talk to my listeners all the time about not being afraid of failure. But yeah, I think you're right that we have to be willing to put ourselves out there, be willing to fail, or be willing to not be as successful as we'd like, because that's where actual learning happens. When we can take that, go back, revise, regroup, and, do it again. And be
Yeah.
okay, that, that happened. And I think that's where most of us get stuck, is being okay with the product, the finished product not being exactly perfect. And I can tell you that stopped me from going to, like you said, the art, the wine and, painting. That stopped me from going to those too. My fear of like, well, I'm not going to pay $65 for something that when I get done, it's not gonna, it's not gonna look exactly like it does on the website picture.
Hmm.
But I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's supposed to be something that, like you said, helps me tap into my creative side. And it's supposed to be fun, and it shouldn't be stressful, and I shouldn't be avoiding it because I'm afraid of the stress. And so, yeah, I think you're right that we have to be willing to step outside of that comfort zone to, to do this. Like you said, whether it's art or whatever, really anything that's kind of outside of your comfort zone.
And that's what
Um,
I'm kind of doing in my weekday lives. That
mhm.
I mean, I've been doing this for over 2 years, the blog and trying to start, with this community. And I did YouTube at first, and I was spending so much time um, storyboarding it, shooting
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
editing it, posting it, sharing it, blogging about it, and it was taking up so much time.
Yeah.
And so, even though I loved it and it was enjoyable, I just kind of stopped doing
Yeah.
those YouTube videos, and same with blog posts. So I try to email my email list and kind of do that once a week if I can. But all of this happening right now, everybody's doing stuff from home and everything's raw and unpolished. And it's
Yes.
been a really big blessing that I'm showing up. I'm creating a schedule as I go. I don't know if this is going to go 3 more weeks or 8 more weeks. I don't know how long the country's going to be like this. But I'm here to serve, and I'm here to do stuff and try things out. And so, like for part of today's art time, we did 7 minutes of cleaning. And I don't know if my audience is gonna think, oh, I felt invigorated, with that just a few minutes of cleaning, or
Mhm.
if they're like, well, that's lame. Why am I gonna clean if I'm watching art? Like, and
Right.
so, and so I took a chance, and
Yeah.
that's, I think it's so important to be living what I'm trying to say too, is that I'm real, and like one of the things I talk about is having clarity and place to create. And so in my home, if you just set your um, pick 2 songs that you love, turn them up really loud, and for those 2 songs for about 7 minutes, you're going to clean a space. You can do anything for 7 minutes. And so that's what we did today with our kitchen, because this week's theme is kitchen. Um, and um, I think a lot of time, like, we get that paralysis from perfectionism and trying
Mhm.
to be perfect. And when we recognize that other people are brave enough to be imperfect, that gives us the courage to be imperfect too. And that's kind of what's spreading right now, is that willingness to be imperfect and just forge ahead and be courageous. And I think it's fantastic.
Yes, I agree. And I'm right there with you. When I started Taking Back You, I was doing, like you said, we're doing the blog posts and the this and the that, and I wouldn't post video online unless it had been, like you said, storyboarded and perfectly curated, and my hair was on point, and I had my eyebrows done and all these things. And I mean, yeah, great. The video looks great at the end, but like you said, how much time do you put into that? And then I also realized too that it wasn't necessarily who I was. Um, and that was really what needed to come through, is just being my, authentic self, and showing other people that it's okay to be who you are. And you don't have to always worry about putting, your most perfectly manicured foot forward. Um, and so, or pedicured, I guess, technically, foot forward for being, specific, foot forward. And so I really appreciate you saying that. And, I think that that is an important lesson that we, especially in this time, we're learning, and we might be honestly even learning it the hard way. Because, even on a completely, aesthetic note, there's just a lot of people who, are not able to go get their hair done or their nails done or their whatever done. And they're realizing, like, I'm just going to have to look like what I actually look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, I think I hope, I pray that there's going to be kind of an awakening for a lot of us, where we realize, it's okay to be who we are, and to exist in a space where we can feel good about sharing who we really are, and not have to worry about, what if people are going to be judging us or be thinking, you know,
Yeah, for
negative
sure.
things about us, because we're, like, listen, we're all stuck at home, and it's not, and what I think is, as much as I don't like what's going on in the world, on a, a purely selfish perspective, because I want to go, I'd like to go to the mall again. Um, I do think it is a great equalizer,
Hmm.
because you have celebrities who are stuck in their houses. Now granted, they're in mansions, but at the same time, we're all stuck in our house. We're all stuck, we're all having to change our lives. I told Amber before we started recording, I was like, hey, guess what, I'm in my closet, because my husband and my son and my dog, everybody's home, everybody's here, and so I had to I was moved to the closet, to record all of my shows. And that's probably going to be that way for, quite some time. So we've all had to be inconvenienced and be, kind of put outside of our comfort zones. But I think that that's a really good thing sometimes, because it helps us see, like, hey, wait a minute, she's also inconvenienced, and he's also inconvenienced, and they're making it work. I can make it work. And I can step outside of my comfort zone, and other people can see me step outside of my comfort zone, and there's not going to be rapid judgment or rapid hatred, which I
Yeah.
think that was something that, maybe even 3 or 4 weeks ago, was a lot more prevalent. We've all learned how to give one another grace.
Yes.
And I think that is, perhaps that's the biggest lesson, or one of the biggest lessons that we can learn, being in this particular, situation, at this time in our history. And I hope that when we're recanting this to our children when they're older, because who knows what they're going to actually remember, that's a lesson that we can share with them, that, hey, we figured out, it occurred to us, it dawned at us that at the end of the day, we were all human beings.
Yeah.
Which is something that we may forget from time to time. So I this will be airing probably, from the time that I record this, it'll probably be another week, that it will be aired. So if that, I feel like you're still going to be doing these on Facebook, but if
Hmm.
if
Yeah.
you're okay, cool. And
Yeah.
say, and even if for some reason somebody's listening to this in like a year from now, whatever, will those lives be available in your group, so they could join your group and, still have access to that in the future?
Yeah, possibly. If they
Okay.
come to my page, Women Create Weekly on Facebook, or come to our website, www.womencreateweekly.com, they can check that out, as well as the membership
Sure.
/join. They
Awesome.
can check those out. I'm not sure if I'll like loop it into a group or have it be something on my website they can put their email address in for, or how I'm going to work that yet. But it's been really fun to. We've just been talking about being raw,
Yeah.
and it's really good to have kind of a weapon against imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
because I know a lot of your listeners are moms who have other interests in wanting to not feel this imposter syndrome of feeling inadequate. And as I started doing art, there's a lot of artists, there's a lot of art instruction, there's a lot of that kind of thing out there, period. And I've had a couple people saying, well, how are you going to be different from YouTube? Or how are you going to be different from Skillshare or these classes? And what's really important to remember, first of all, is there's no one else that is identically you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you have your own flavor to bring to whatever it is you're wanting to do, whether it's something artistic or something empowering other women or whatever it is. You have your own flavor, and no one can duplicate that flavor. They can do something similar to you, but they can't be you.
Right.
And that's not a new thought either. But like, for example, with these other websites, you might have a bird watercolorist who've been doing it for 40 years, and your stuff is never going to look like his,
Right.
like, because he's been doing it for 40 years. That is his amazingness, um, so that helped me to realize that I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to have everything figured out, and I don't have to be good at every single thing that I do. I just have to give it my best. And I mean, I have to be a good business owner and have things planned out and lead well and all that sort of thing. But as far as my art skills, as I'm teaching these women, some people are going to pick it up really fast, and some people are going to have some struggles and ask questions, and they'll get to show me what they're working on, and I'll get to say, why don't you bring your brush up at this point to a tip faster,
Mm-hmm.
and give them immediate feedback to help them on that process. And I don't have to worry about not being perfect.
Right.
And we don't have to. Whatever we're doing, we don't have to be perfect.
And yeah, I listen, I think that, I'll tell you two things, and this is for my listeners. I'll tell you two things about Amber. I've known her for a week, but I will tell you two things. She's an incredibly wise woman. And actually, I'll give you three things. I just thought of another one while I was making my list in my head. She's an incredibly wise woman. She's an incredibly patient woman. And I know this because she homeschools her children. So that's just a guess I'm going to make about you, that you are incredibly patient. But finally, and I think most importantly, is that she is someone who has a very calming and just relaxing voice, which I can tell you just in listening to you in this interview. I just want to keep listening to you, whether I paint anything or draw anything. Like, I think I'm just going to call Amber and have her talk me down, you know? So if for nothing else, join her stuff so you can just hear her talk. Cause, I think that, her voice is super, super relaxing, and, you are bringing down my blood pressure, just hearing you speak. And I think, like I said, it ties into the wisdom, that you are giving us. And that's just number one for, taking back you, is mamas who are sharing their experiences and their wisdom with other mamas. And, so I thank you. I thank you so much for coming on today, for, kind of reaching out to me. I did a mass kind of calling mothers who do things, and and Amber answered the call, and so, first of all, I really want to thank you for that, for just being willing and, able to kind of put yourself out there to be on today, to be interviewed. It's not easy to be interviewed, and so, thank you so much for that. And you're showing other people that they can do this. They can, start a business. They can, create something. There's all these different things that, just looking at you set a great example for what people can do. One more thing I want to tell you about Amber, and I actually want her to tell us a little bit about this. You are an avid traveler. Am I correct on this? And so I have two questions for you in regard to travel. So the first question is, where all have you been? And second of all, where are you going to go after this coronavirus situation is over?
So try to remember. A lot of them were pre-kids.
Yeah.
So I went to obviously Canada and Mexico because I'm new in the US. But we went to France and Italy. I took Latin for 5 years, so we went as part in ninth grade in high school to Italy, and then 12th grade we went back to Italy with our choirs. And then I did a study abroad for art in China and Thailand, and then went to Japan afterwards. I did mission work in Taiwan for 18 months, and my parents have done humanitarian work in Africa, so I've been to Kenya, Ghana, Uganda, and Sierra Leone just 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And I think, I don't know if I missed one in there. But I love, now that I have 4 kids, airfare is quite expensive to get all of us anywhere.
Maybe not now. No. Just a thought. No.
But since then, I love traveling with my kids on road trips because we have autonomy of our time and our space.
Yes.
And I have friends from coast to coast. And so each year we go back to visit Oklahoma because that's where we used to live. My kids have friends there, and my friends are there as well, and photography clients. But summer before last, we did a coast to coast and back around again.
Oh, that's awesome.
8,000 miles, and I house hopped from friend to friend to friend. And I only had to get a hotel at the Grand Canyon. I didn't know anybody at the Grand Canyon.
Well, why not?
Besides that, from we're in New Jersey now, and all the way across down through Arizona, California, up to Washington, back down through Idaho, and then back across Utah, and then back across through. Just stayed at different families' homes and their generosity, and my kids loved it because there were new friends and new toys at every place we stayed. And I got to stay up late and have girl chats every time.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love
it. After this is all over, we're definitely gonna want to go see our friends at some point in Oklahoma. And I think it'd be fun to go to Europe with my sweetheart husband.
Yes. Oh, well, that's amazing. First of all, you've only been a few places, so I don't even know what you're talking about now. No, so you have been when you say all over the place, you've been all over the world. Well, that's really cool, and I love the road trip thing because that's what we do. We're road trippers, and it started when my husband and I, we did our first road trip. We had been dating for 6 weeks. And because God laughs while we make plans, I met my husband, and 6 weeks later, I was supposed to move to California to go to law school. And so he said, okay, well, I'll take you. And I was like, oh, ha, okay, whatever. And he drove me from Indiana, actually from Chicago, because we went back to where I grew up, got all my stuff. And then we drove in my little Pontiac Vibe from Chicago to San Diego. And that kind of set the precedent for us of loving road trips. So that's you're right, the autonomy is amazing. Every single year we do that. We do a road trip. And this is actually our first year because of, coronavirus that we don't have a road trip immediately planned. But yeah, I love what you said about the autonomy of road trips. And I think that that's the coolest thing ever. You just like drove around like from coast to coast, like what? And you just stayed at friends' houses and yeah, and I totally get it. We've done the same things and I loved it. I still love it. And now, we have our son and we drove to Disney World last year because it was kind of the same thing. I was like, well, I don't want to be, held down or boggled down by flights or whatever. So we just took our good sweet time and drove down. We stopped in a whole bunch of places on the way. Went to Disney World for a few days and then came home. And so, yeah, I really appreciate that. And I think that's really cool that you're doing that with your family and that they're getting to see the country and, that they're getting to go back to, Oklahoma and to see everybody and all that. So I hope that this is over soon so everybody can go.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna
for
be
sure.
really ready to go somewhere. We're probably just gonna end up in Nashville. That's our favorite place to visit in the you think in the whole world. Nashville, Tennessee. That's our place. We love it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're gonna go to Nashville. And probably sit around and eat barbecue. Can't think of anything better than that. But again, Amber, thank you so much for being on the show today. And I'm going to share everything, all of Amber's social media links and social media information. You can find more information about Women Create Weekly. You can just go to womencreateweekly.com. You can learn more about Amber. You can learn more about what she does. You can learn more about Women Create Weekly. You can find her blog and all the amazing opportunities that she offers to create. And like I said, I'm going to share everything on the episode notes, and it'll also be posted on social media on my pages. And I'm sure Amber will share everything on her end too. So is there anything else that you want to share with the mamas who are listening? And it doesn't have to be about the topic today. It could be like you painted your nails pink. Who cares? But just something fun or whatever, that you want to share with everybody before we end today.
Couple things come to mind. I'm trying to think of what's the best thing to share.
You can share both of them.
I want to give you guys a challenge. I know a lot of times we think art is really serious and has to be really perfect. But my 3-year-old was in this class that I was helping out with, and they had shaving cream play, which you've seen on Pinterest, I'm sure, where you put shaving cream out and you can just play with it. Or you can put food coloring in and make prints, like art prints and stuff. But I just want, like, if you have young kids, you can do this with them or just do it by yourself. But just squirt out some onto a plate or a tabletop and kind of feel the texture and see what shapes you can make with your hand and just kind of have it be an experiential thing. You could do this also just with soapy hands if you don't have shaving cream. But just kind of be present and feel and look at how the light's falling on it and what shapes to create, and just kind of have it be a little experiential thing and then clean it up afterwards. So just taking a minute to be playful in almost a childlike way can kind of be a good icebreaker if you're stressed or if you're not sure what to do.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. That's actually, I was just thinking, I was like, do we have any shaving cream? But I think we can order some on Amazon.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say is I heard this, I think it was like a PBS thing. I'm not sure where I heard it from, but art is for everyone and everyone is an artist. And just the idea that once you start changing the story in your head about your relationship with art, that opens the door to possibility and experience creation in lots of different ways. And if cross stitching isn't your jam, then do fluid painting or there's so many different ways to express creativity. Find one that flows and feels good, and then explore that on YouTube and find all kinds of different ways to challenge yourself to explore that.
Well, thank you very much. And both of those are I'm actually really like, but real talk, I'm actually going to go on Amazon and get shaving cream because my son will love that. And it's going to be cold. It's beautiful right now, but it's going to be cold and like on Thursday and Friday. So that'll be actually really nice if I can get everything by then. Because I'm
That's
already trying to
awesome.
think of things to do once it's not 70 degrees.
And
And
if you have food coloring, you can put some dyes on it, some food
okay.
coloring in it, and then move it around with a toothpick, and
Oh,
then put a piece of paper down, and then pull it up and wipe off the excess, and you have marbled paper at the end of your
oh,
plating.
and I mean, I have a 6-year-old son, so that sounds messy and it sounds perfect. That
Or if
is,
you want to not deal with the
yeah,
tossable food
whatever.
dyes, then just play on the table.
You know what I found? We're my husband and I wouldn't say we're like full-fledged granolas, but I would say that we are more cognizant of what goes into food than not. And I actually found some food dye, like food coloring, that is made from like plants. And
Cool.
yeah, so everything, so I don't actually mind him touching it or anything like that because it is like it's like rutabaga and like all these weird things that they use to make colors. I don't know, beets,
That's
like
awesome.
thinking like that.
Yes.
So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, so I'm actually okay with the dye situation, as long as, and I happened to buy from the dollar store a bunch of plastic tablecloths, so we're
That's
good.
perfect.
And
Good luck.
yeah, thank you. Godspeed. Huh? And I'm gonna ruminate on what you're saying about being an artist, and that yeah, because I feel like I tell myself I'm not, but I think I am. If you're creating, you're an
Yep,
artist.
you are an artist.
So there you go. Well, thank you so much, Amber, for being on today. And just thank you for sharing your wisdom about art and beyond. And like I said, you can find her on womencreateweekly.com or on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Oh, I'm for LinkedIn. I think you had every she's everywhere. So you can find her, and I already know, I can tell you this right now. I already know of at least 3 people that I'm going to share this episode with directly. Usually I don't. Usually I just kind of send it out as an email and, post it on like social media and stuff. But I'm going to share this episode directly because I think they like need to hear what you are saying. And so I just thank you so much for being on today. Have a like wonderful rest of your day. Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on. I think you're doing such a good, important work with women and such an important voice for us to hear. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Oh, I'm in my closet crying now. No. All right. Well, well, thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. Okay.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, am I right or am I right? Isn't Amber's voice the most just like relaxing, melodic sound? And I just love everything that she says and the way she says it. Please, please, please don't hesitate to visit Amber online at womencreateweekly.com. And you guys, you will not be disappointed. She is the real deal. And I only have the real deal on this show anyway, but she is the real deal. Like I said in the episode, I'm going to share all of her information in the notes for this episode so that you can check her out. Like I said, she has a blog. She's on Facebook. She has a Facebook page and group. She's on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. She's on Twitter. She's on Pinterest. So there are plenty of ways to get in contact with Amber. And trust me, you need to, because I can tell you, even after we got done recording, we stayed on and we talked for another half hour. She is just such an inspiration and just such a good person, just a genuinely good person, you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed that episode, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation that we had. Please check out the episode notes so you can figure out how to follow her, how to find her, and just God bless on on all the amazing, knowledge you are going to procure from having her in your life. I am just so thrilled that her and I were able to connect. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Taking Back You Momcast, and I'm going to do it this week like I do every single week. If you think that this episode was, important for moms and something that needs to be shared, then by all means, share this episode. Subscribe to this podcast. The way that we get more episodes and more people who are brilliant and amazing like Amber to come on and talk to us is when we show up. So please, please, please subscribe to this podcast, the Taking Back You Momcast. Switching gears, I want to talk to you about something that we are going to be doing starting on Friday, Mom Business May. So listen, if you were a part of Mom Business May last year, we worked with moms the entire month of May, because, May is for moms, to help them start their at-home businesses. And I got such positive feedback and so many people enjoyed it that we decided to do it again this year. And this year we are not limiting it to just at-home businesses. We are helping all moms in whatever facet of businessosity they want to take on. We are going to help you start and grow your business. And we're going to do it a little bit different this year. We have a Facebook group. So you can go to facebook.com/groups/mombusinessmay 2020 for a free 30-day online virtual workshop. We're going to be learning all sorts of things, step by step, how to start your business, how to grow your business. If you have questions, you can ask them within the group. There are going to be other boss moms, other amazing women that I have procured throughout the year to come on. They're going to give training. They're going to give tips. They're going to share tools. This is going to be such a great experience. So make sure you join us and you go to that Facebook page, that Facebook group. Also, if you have more questions and you're like, okay, wait, what's going on? Find me on Facebook. You can message me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Dani Carter Iddins. You can go to facebook.com/Taking Back You Momcast, or you can go email me directly, Dani@DaniCarterIddins.com, if you want to be a part of this amazing group. Okay, guys, I wanted to let you know that, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I cannot wait to get started on Mom Business May. It's just in a couple of days. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. For more information on Taking Back You and the Taking Back You Momcast, visit us at takingbackyou.com. From there, you'll be able to follow us on social media, listen to past episodes, and learn all about the mission of Taking Back You. Be sure to subscribe to get future episodes. And from all of us at Taking Back You, thank you so much for your support.